of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
And welcome back to the New York Jets Atlantic Flight podcast. So we've got another game coming up this weekend against the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully we're not going to have a repeat of the Jacksonville Jaguars game where we lost by 28 points, 48-20, in case you needed reminding. We are at New Orleans. We've got a few little interesting points here. Let's run over this. Here, Andy's here with me today, by the way, as well, and we're going to get into the IR report just after this. So let's go through this. The all-time head-to-head, the overall record, the Saints lead the series 8-6. Another team that seems to lead a series over us. The home and away splits is like this. The series is all tied up, 3 each, in games played in New Orleans, the Big Easy. There's been a few close contests. 8 of the 14 meetings have been decided by 7 points or less, with 5 decided by 3 points or less. I do think, however, this game won't be a close contest at all. This could be a possibility. Shutouts. The Saints have held the Jets scoreless twice in their history. Will it be a third? Let's hope not. Let's hope not. It's purely because of our young quarterback. I want him to have a good game. Some interesting points for Sunday's game. The upcoming game features several interesting storylines, primarily centered on team dynamics and some young players. We've got 2 rookies starting this week, Tyler Shuck and Brady Cook. Incidentally, Tyler Shuck, Andy, you're going to have to help me out. How do you get Tyler Shuck out of S-H-O-U-G-H? That's Slough. Shuck. That's Shao. How do you get Shuck out of Shao?
I think people just make it up as they go along, to be honest, at the moment. There's so many weird and wonderful names that you have to learn when they come out of the draft, but it does seem a pretty obvious one. Yes. At the best.
Yeah. So anyway, Tyler Shao or Tyler Shuck, pick your poison. And Brady Cook, obviously for us, making their late season starts. This is Brady Cook's second game. I think Tyler Shuck is started 5 games and he's won 3 out of those 5, but 2 of those on the bounce. So the Saints enter the game on a 2-week game winning streak, and they're looking to build momentum for the future, even at the cost of their draft position, which is where we thought we were going to be. We talked about this in our chat, didn't we? That's what we thought we were going to be doing when we beat Atlanta. We thought, right, we've turned a corner. There's no price that you can put on building momentum and character and all the rest of it. However, the Jets' interception drought goes on. The Jets' defense has a record for the most games, 14 now, without an interception to start the season, and we're looking to end this streak, this game, against another rookie quarterback. But I'm not going to hold my breath. The Saints' defense is improving. They've been climbing steadily in the rankings, and they're currently ranked 11th in total defense and 6th against the pass, and a trend that began with Chase Young's return from injury. So there you go. Obviously, there's draft implications. For some fans, the outcome of the game is about securing a better draft pick for the 2026 season, especially for the Jets, who are still searching for their franchise quarterback. So there is a chance that we could rise in this game. I said last week, I don't think we will win another game. What do you think, Andy? Do you think we're going to win another game?
I think this is the scary game to me, to be honest, this one, because we and the Saints are both such poor teams. This one could genuinely go either way. I mean, I get the arguments that New Orleans are ascending a little bit the last couple of weeks, and we seem to be on a bit of a tailspin. But this is genuinely, I think, a game that could go either way and be decided by something as stupid as a missed field goal. So once we get past this game, absolutely, I don't think we've got a hope in hell against the Bills or the Patriots the next 2 weeks, because I think the AFC East is still too close to call at the moment for those 2 at the top. So I think, fingers crossed in a way, they're both going to be playing to win week 17 and 18. But I think this is genuinely a game that I am weirdly scared that we might win.
Yeah. Offensively, we're fairly similar. New Orleans are ranked 26 out of the league. We're ranked 29th. Again, all this is, I keep saying this every week. A lot of these stats are so skewed. Obviously, we started with Justin Fields at the season, so we didn't pass the ball that much, but we ran a lot. So our rushing offense is ranked 6th overall. Obviously, Justin Fields has contributed to that. The rushing offense of the Saints is ranked 27th. And then we had Tyrod Taylor coming in, and he's more pass happy than Justin Fields was. And now we've got Brady Cook coming in, who's probably a little bit more balanced, but as we've seen, he's got some wheels on him as well. So all these rankings, they're a little bit skewed. It's hard to base anything off the rankings, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Saints are pretty similar as well in that, because obviously they started the season with Spencer Rattler, and that was a roller coaster ride for them. He was all over the place. He'd have some weeks where he looked actually quite decent, and then just absolutely fall off the week after. And so when you look at even just like their PFF stats for passing, it goes from 70 odd points for a couple of weeks, then nosedives to 40, then slowly climbs back up to a 90, then right back down to a 48.6. So, and then obviously, like you said, they've had Tyler Shook in the past few weeks, who seems to be getting better, but that's why those overall rankings are a little bit, like you say, they're skewed and hard to see what it means for this game in week 16.
I think it's more fair to say as well, you can probably, I don't think you can take it with a pinch of salt per se, but I think both defenses are pretty much what they are. You're getting exactly what you're seeing. And when it comes to the rankings, the Saints are ranked 11th overall, as against us being 20th overall. And I think that that's going to be pretty much where the tail of the tape's going to be. I think this is going to come down to, I don't think it's going to be that high scoring game. I do think there's going to be mistakes going both ways, and it's how the teams are going to capitalise off those mistakes. But if it comes down to a purely defensive thing, I think the Saints are going to edge this.
Yeah, the same. I mean, their rushing attack's not going to be particularly great this week. They've got a lot of injuries in the running back room, and they haven't been running the ball particularly well anyway. But our run defense, I think whoever they put out there, our run defense has been so poor. Despite how many people Wilkes wanted to try and throw into the box, leaving those massive holes in the middle of the field for him crossing routes. But I think, although to be fair, that is something we probably need to talk about, is will we get a bit of a bump from having a new coordinator in the defensive room, or is it too short of a turnaround to worry about that? Because obviously Wilkes, the scheme he ran was practically fossilized, given how old it was and how out of touch it was. Do you think there's any chance that we see a defensive improvement this week under Harris?
Oh God, it's funny you should say that, because I was thinking about this earlier on today, and my gut reaction when I first heard the news, obviously I was quite happy with, Steve. You don't see anyone lose their job, but Steve Wilkes wasn't doing his good job. Again, we've said this before, he's been one and done so many times. Whoever takes him on again is going to be desperate for a defensive coordinator, let me put it like that. So when Chris Harris got named the stand-in defensive coordinator, the temporary coordinator, my first reaction was, hang on a second, he is part of the problem. He works with the CBs, the cornerbacks, and he's also been head of pass defense, and our pass defense has not been good. So unless that's not his forte, and more of his forte is actually doing overall defense. So do I think he's going to give the defense that kickstart that we need? No, I can't see it. It's late in the season. We've lost key players, which we'll go into, plus, on IR. Then we've lost someone like Quinn, and then we've lost Source. Their heads are down. It's different for the defense over the offense. When your head goes down on the defense, it's so difficult to pick it back up again, because everything that you do is so reactive. And if you're not firing on all cylinders and you're not all playing as a team, it's so difficult. Again, I said this to Timmy in the post game, the last podcast we did. There was a point where Aaron Glenn pulled Malachi Moore over and he said, "I just want you to do your job." Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Is if you're doing your job, but your job's getting affected because the guy next to you isn't doing his, then you can't help but try and help the guy next to you, or try to help him to help yourself. It's too little. It's too little, too late in the end of the season. Wilkes should have gone weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and we could have possibly got somebody else in on a temporary basis, or promoted someone within the team to have done this. But no, to answer your question, no, I don't think it's going to make any difference. Do you?
I'm not too sure about it. I'll be really honest. I didn't know a lot about Chris Harris other than a little bit about his background before he took over. But what was it? I was listening to it was the Heed the Call podcast this morning, and they spoke about it a little bit. And I think it was Connor Orr or Dan Hansis who said that Chris Harris's name had come up in conversations about potential defensive coordinator jobs for next year. And potentially that by promoting him early, and now it's kind of blocked him from taking any of those job offers that may have come in. So I do wonder if there's something there, maybe that we probably won't see much out of him for the next 3 games, but maybe it is a little bit of a blessing in disguise that it's happened now rather than happening in January.
Yeah, a little bit on Chris Harris. For others that don't know about him, he was a safety in the NFL. He was drafted by the Chicago Bears. He played from 2005 to 2012 for the Bears, the Panthers, the Lions, Jaguars. He was second team All-Pro in 2010. So he's been a really, really decent player. With regards to his coaching experience, before he joined the Jets, he held various defensive coaching roles, again with the Bears, the Chargers, Commanders, and the Titans. He has got a very good reputation and is highly regarded in the NFL. So he's still a very young guy. So he's probably cutting his teeth a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does get on. I think the defensive side of the ball is going to get completely blown up at the end of the season. I think that's on the cards, wouldn't you?
Yeah, completely. It'd be nice if someone like Harris did end up sticking around, because what I quite like about our coaching staff at the moment is if you take the likes of Glenn, now Harris and Banjo, we've got quite a lot of ex-players, particularly defensive backs in quite senior positions, and it's stupid because it doesn't really mean anything, but I quite like the energy that brings to things.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good time to get into the IR, don't you? It's quite a lengthy report we've got today.
Yeah. So from the Jets' point of view, Kiko Malgoa, Mason Taylor, and Eric Watts still haven't practiced. With Watts, it's a concussion, so that probably means we're definitely not going to see him now. And interestingly, Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor, both on the report, limited in practice for the second day in a row, which is probably what led to the Jets signing Hendon Hooker late yesterday. Because I'm really not sure what the plan was if Tyrod wasn't able to go, but it could potentially be Cook and Hendon Hooker on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, at the beginning of the week, it's been quarterback carousel for us this week, hasn't it? We signed Martinez earlier on this week, who was on the practice squad for us, although he did get cut after Brady Cook beat him out. So he was on there. I have a conspiracy theory. I've got my tin hat on here. I don't think that either Fields and Taylor are that. If they are on the IR, I think if we were on a Super Bowl run or something like that, or playoffs run, they'd be playing. I have no doubt about it. I think one of them might have a paper cut on his pinky or something. I think this is gamesmanship. We've just signed Hendon Hooker. I think we've used. I think that probably Tyrod Taylor will likely be the emergency quarterback on Sunday. I think Hendon Hooker is going to get stashed on the practice squad. I think that he's going to be on the practice squad next year. I think that he will get re-signed. He's got history with the Detroit Lions, so he does know Engstrand's system, and I think this is going to be quite a shrewd move. I don't think Hendon Hooker's going to ever see the field for us. Let's be honest. He's not my cup of tea. He's an older guy. What was he? 30 this year or something? Or was he 28?
He's not that old. I think he's 27 or
27.
20. He was a much older prospect when he was drafted.
Yeah. But I don't. He's very, very limited in what he can do, and if he was going to have done something, he would have done it by now. But then again, he might be a late developer, so and then what do I know?
Like you say, it's not a good sign, because I know last year when it looked like he might have to play for the Lions, they went straight out and got someone off the scrap heap to play instead. So it's not a good sign. But like you say, the fact that he knows what Engstrand and Glenn are about, he's probably just a good guy for them to have around on the practice field. And like you say, if he sticks around next year, it'll probably be just to get people through camp and install whatever system it is they want to try and bring in.
Plus, I also think for those reasons that you've said, and I also think that if we do take a quarterback next year, which I'm pretty certain we will, whether it's round one or not, or I don't know, but if we do take a quarterback next year, having another set of ears in the room for your rookie quarterback when the classroom's finished and you're popping out to Applebee's for a beer, it's good to have someone that you can talk to and rattle this stuff off. So I don't know, I'm not saying he'll be a mentor or anything like that, but I do think that it takes a village to raise a kid, kind of thing. So I think that's why we've got Hendon Hooker. People are scratching their head on Twitter, I see today, and it's just like, I don't think, this is a head scratcher. Why have they signed him? He's no good. We've got forecourt. It's nothing to do with that. I'm pretty sure of it. As I say, I do believe Taylor will be the emergency quarterback. It's good to see that while we're on the subject of quarterbacks, it is actually good to see that Cook is going to get a chance to show what he can do. If he can show more, and I still believe he is trending in the right direction. I'll get your thoughts on this. I still believe he's still trending in the right direction. Is he a quarterback 2 at the moment? No, he's not. If he continues trending, and he's going to have to take a hell of a jump between now and the end of the season at the Bills game to even come into that discussion. So I think the ceiling for him right now for next year will be QB3. What's your thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I'm mostly good. I mean, watching him against the Jags last week, I mean, he, at the start of the game, when there wasn't a load of pressure to try and catch up in a game that was getting really out of hand, he looked a bit more composed. He looked like it didn't look like the game was too big for him. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it kind of perfectly describes quarterbacks in the NFL when they look comfortable. And that touchdown pass to A.D. Mitchell was really composed as well. It's when the game got away from the Jets and he was trying to chase it that you saw him start to make mistakes. And that's more him trying to force things that he wouldn't ordinarily do. I think we said it in the group chat 100 times, that if he turns out to be a decent backup, someone who can come in for a few snaps or play a game or two during the year when our main guy goes out, that's a brilliant return on a UDFA quarterback. So if that's what he turns into, it's an absolute win for Glenn and Murgy.
But as a podcast, we said last year, we were all quite high on Brady Cook, and we would have took him with a 5th round pick overall. So it was quite surprising that he actually slid as far as he did. But as I say, we would have been quite happy. We had a rating of a 5th round pick on him. So I'm not too surprised on how he's doing. When he was at Mizzou, we looked into what he was doing, how he was doing it, his character, what people were saying about him. So what people are saying back then in Mizzou, and so what people are saying now in the Jets organisation, it isn't too much of a surprise. He hasn't been thrown in. It's obviously the first game he came in. He's chasing the game. So we're not seeing the best of what he can do. However, in that Jags game, I do think that the play calling was dumbed down ever so slightly. I say ever so slightly. It was dumbed down a lot, actually. It was very, very vanilla. And I would like to see them actually give him some actual plays that can play to his strengths. And, if you like, take the trainer wheels off him a little bit. let him take his lumps, and hopefully we won't be playing from behind. If we are playing from behind, it's not 2 or 3 scores; it might be just a score. But you need to let him see what he can do, and use Brees, lean on Brees. Brees is there, he's a good running back. You can use him in the passing game. If it's not on, dump it off to Brees. You don't have to put yourself under pressure. We're missing Mason Taylor, I believe. He's still on IR, isn't he? You did say. So it would be Jeremy Rucker, who, more breaking news, he got a contract extension as well. Are you happy about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have told me that, if you'd have told 4 months ago, Andy, that we were going to be giving Jeremy Rucker a 2-year extension, I'd have been absolutely furious. But
Same.
He's been inoffensive this year. He's caught the ball when it's been passed to him. He's blocking reasonably well. He's not like tight end 1 in the league by any means, but he's also not being paid like tight end 1 either. And there's nothing wrong with a solid player. So I absolutely love keeping him. The same as with the Myers extension as well. I think it's just good business from Muji.
Yeah. At the back end of last season, his blocking was awful. I forget what his PFF rating was, but it was absolutely awful. And then he had a few drops as well. But this year, it seems to have been, since we've drafted Mason Taylor, he's upped his game. I don't know whether it's just been like it's lit a fire underneath him. Like you say, he's not uprooting any trees, and he's doing exactly what he's meant to have done. So he's been more than adequate. I think he's deserved his extension. And I think incredibly, he is getting better. There's a lot that isn't going right in this team right now. So when players like Ruckert are starting to look better, that stands out to me. That stands out a lot. So, things aren't great. Things are crumbling, and you've got some players that are still standing up tall. And Jeremy Ruckert is one of those. And he's going to get his chance again with Mason Taylor out. Well, it says he did not practice on Thursday, so I'm assuming that he's probably going to be out anyway. Who else have we got on the IR report?
So for us, that's it, to be honest. Everyone else is now a full participant. So Brees, JJ, Josh Myers, Newman, Titman, Tufele, they're all down as full participants. So barring any last minute additions next few days, that's it. It is a lot worse for the Saints.
Yeah.
They've still got Alvin Kamara out, so he probably won't play this week. They've had a bit of a revolving door on the offensive line. So Richards, one of their depth tackles, is still out. Cesar Ruiz, one of their guards, is still out. And then the big one probably is Devon Vele is still out. He still did not practice. He's been quite a nice surprise for them. I think they picked him up from the Broncos in the year, and he's been a nice number 2 to Chris Olave.
Yeah,
missing anything for them, I think.
Yeah, on the O-line. Did you mention Cesar Ruiz?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's out, but their wide receiver room is absolutely decimated. Devon Neal, Jalen Polk, Trey Palmer, they're all on IR. Bob Means as well. Forgot him. Yep. So it's not looking good at all, is it? I mean, they have got their injury, but don't you find this though? When teams aren't doing well, the injury IR report just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been surprising that Olave's been okay for as long as he has, because he's the one who's usually on the injury report before anyone else. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, I suppose. I'm not sure, though, that with the injuries to our secondary and the way we've been covering, that it's going to matter too much. I mean, Brandon Stevens has been a nice surprise this year, but I think he's not. I'm still not convinced he's the type of number 1 corner that can erase a number 1 wide receiver. He's more of like a system player, or it just works as part of the group. So I'd be interested to see how we deal with Olave on Sunday.
Do you think, obviously, Wilkes, we talked about this on the other podcast, Wilkes and Glenn, they play 2 different systems. Wilkes is more of a man coverage, Glenn's more zone. I think probably Chris Harris will probably play more zone, which would probably be better for someone like Stevens, because I don't think he is very good in man coverage at all. Press, I just don't think that's it. That's his bag.
No, he's not. And I think it's more, I'm interested to see what they do with the linebackers with Wilkes gone, because obviously that's been one of our biggest problems, has been the coverage in the middle of the field. And Juwan Johnson's on pace at the moment. I think he's got 644 yards this year as a tight end. So how he plays us over the middle could be a big one for this game. Because if he just keeps on beating Sherwood and Oliver and Quincy over and over again, it could be a long day.
Yeah, we haven't done well covering tight ends at all, have we? If we go back to Alvin Kamara, it's a little bit odd because he's only played 11 games this year. The first thing I noticed was he's only racked up 471 yards this year, one touchdown. That's not the Alvin Kamara that we know. So their running game is taking a little bit of a hammering, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's been down to, because obviously, how old is Kamara now? He's well above 30, isn't he?
I believe he is. I'm just trying to find his numbers.
No, he's just 30.
He's 30, yeah.
God, it feels like he's been in the league for decades.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? He's got a lot of tread. So he hasn't got much tread on those tires. He's been used a lot. He's been a bell cow for them, hasn't he?
Yeah. But one of the biggest issues they've had, though, is the offensive line. They haven't had a lot of continuity on the O-line at all this year. Calvin Banks has done pretty well for them in the run game. He seems like a good draft pick from last year. But other than that, they've had no consistency at all because people have just been missing games. Like you say, Cesar Ruiz is probably the next guy who's played the most games, but he's going to be out now. We know Trevor Penning's not particularly good. Fuaga's only played 10 games, so there's been a bit of a revolving door at the other tackle position. Even at the centre position, they haven't had a lot of luck either, so injuries have really hit them hard. And we know from the past couple of years what our run game with Brees has looked like when the injuries on the offensive line have started to stack up.
So looking forward to this game now, Andy. How do you think that this is going to stack up? I've mentioned already that I think it's going to come down to the defenses. I think the Saints defense is, I would say, better. Anything's better than our defense at the moment, but it is generally a better defense than ours is. Obviously, we've got our old friend Demario Davis, who gutted that we let this guy go twice, not once, but twice. He's leading with like 123 tackles, so he's a tackling machine. Do you think that this is what it's going to come down to, the two defenses, or how do you think that our offense is going to measure up against their defense?
It's one of those things. I am not looking. I'm not looking forward to watching this game at all. I don't think. I mean, I think we were saying before we started recording, weren't we, comparing this to what we watched last night with the Seahawks and the Rams. It's just, it's going to look like a college bowl game. It's going to be, like an FCS bowl game. It's just going to be really poor stuff, and it's going to come down to who makes the least mistakes.
Yeah, it honestly is. And the game that he's just referenced there, it went to overtime as well. And it's just, I think the Seahawks were down something like 16 points at some point. And it's just like our very own Sam Darnold leading the Seahawks back down the field and then going for 2 points. And it all came down to 2 points. Sorry if this is a spoiler, but it came down to, in overtime, making a conversion for 2 points, and they got it. It was just absolutely incredible. It was an absolute pleasure to watch. And it was entertaining, and I just forgot what it was like watching football and getting entertained at the same time. Who knew? Football isn't entertainment. Did you know that?
What do you mean it's not a chore for every family to glue themselves to their TV like Malcolm in A Clockwork Orange with their eyes?
That's like
every week.
With the eye clamps on, yeah. With, blimey. We'll give our predictions at the end, but we've got other things to talk about first. Personally, I think this is going to come down to the defenses. I think it's going to be hard for Brees to get going, and if we can't get our run game going, it could be a very long day for Brady Cook because we do need that play action to work. However, I do think that we might be able to use our tight ends to the advantage over the middle there. And I do think there's a little bit of a weakness, but we will see. As it's going to be squeaky bum time, as Alex Ferguson said. Do you know what? I like to see wins. If we win, we win. But it'll be with a tinge of sadness, I have to say, because obviously we need to rise up the tankathon, which we will talk about in a second. But it won't do us any good by winning. I don't think we will win. So if anyone's wondering, I don't think we will win another game. But I just mentioned the tankathon there. Who's the routing guide for this week? And should we believe this routing guide?
Yeah, let me have a look. So obviously the big one for us, there's a couple of big ones actually, but the main one for us this week is Raiders versus Texans. So it is extremely unlikely that the Raiders will beat the Texans, who are on a bit of a heater at the moment. I think the spread is over 14 points in the Texans' favour. So Vegas does not believe that the Raiders are going to beat the Texans.
Only 14.
Yeah. They clearly feel that the Texans will just put their backups in at some point. But then a couple of interesting ones. We've got the Titans playing the Mahomes-less Chiefs.
Ooh.
So that could be an interesting one for us if the Titans are able to get another win there. The Browns are playing the Bills.
No chance.
The Browns are playing the Bills and the Giants are playing the Vikings. Now, I know this is a weird one because we do need some teams who don't need a quarterback.
Can I just stop you a sec there?
Yeah.
Because this is a real landmark moment. I was going to bring this up and I completely forgot when we were going to go on to this. Myles Garrett, if he gets one sack, I think it's one sack, he overtakes Michael Strahan for the all-time sack leader in the season. So I think it's currently 22 and a half. So it'll be 23 sacks for the season against Josh Allen. So look for that to happen. That would be amazing if he got that. And if it does happen, I legitimately want to see an actual sack, not a Brett Favre lying down on the carpet, shaking Michael Strahan's hand and saying, "Congrats, buddy. I just wanted to be part of history. Cheers." I'll never, ever forgive Michael Strahan and Brett Favre for doing that. Gastineau got robbed that year. But anyway, I'm not bitter. Sorry, Andy, carry on.
And we both know that Gastineau isn't bitter either. He doesn't approach people at signing events to talk.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
About it completely. And we know that Josh Allen likes to take a sack as well.
He does, yeah.
This could well be Garrett, and you can see a way that he doesn't just break this record; that he absolutely destroys this record because he could get 3 just this weekend.
He's got 2 more games after this to go as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Incredible.
And I kind of like that he's going to break it in less than 16 games because I find now that people devalue people breaking records a little bit by saying, oh, well, there's an extra game a year now, so it's not really a new record. But
yeah,
it's impressive stuff.
It is.
Where are we anyway? So the Browns play the Bills. Obviously, would be nice for us if the Browns were to beat the Bills, because that moves them beyond us as well. Giants Vikings. Now, obviously, if we were still in the running for the first overall pick, you'd say that you'd want the Giants to win. But given the fact that we're unlikely to jump the Raiders no matter what they do, it kind of helps us out if there's someone picking ahead of the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Who we can potentially trade with, because it's highly unlikely that we're going to get to pick 2 unless everyone wins out. So the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, if they all win out, we could be picking second.
Yeah, I've said that we've talked about this offline, haven't we? The only problem is if the Giants are there at the top and you've got the Raiders underneath. Yes, the Giants are a trade partner, but they're also a trade partner for everything else. And I would hate to get into a bidding war. That is my only concern, if that's the route that we did choose to go down.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the better scenario is that fine, the Raiders pick first, but that somehow if the Giants, the Browns, the Titans all win out, we're picking second, and we just take the second quarterback. And all just cross our fingers that Dante Moore doesn't decide to go back to Oregon for another year.
There is a chance if the Raiders are at second, that they'll just pick a tight end or a running back anyway.
Yeah, they might really like Kenyon Sadiq, mightn't they? Yeah. Or maybe they fancy trading for Tua's contract. You never know. You never know. They've done stupider things.
Raiders continuing to raid.
Yeah, great. And then I suppose the rest of it is more about the Colts pick than it is about ours. The Colts play the 49ers, and obviously we're all massive Robert Saleh fans, so we'd love to see him get after Rivers this weekend.
Yeah.
Take that on the Colts, get that pick to keep on pushing itself up.
Patriots Ravens, that's an interesting one.
It is, yeah, and for me this is more about, so let's for example imagine a scenario where the Browns do somehow beat the Bills. If the Patriots win, they lock up the AFC East. And I know we're getting into like the minutiae of stuff now, but I want the Bills and the Patriots to be playing for the AFC East right up to the last week, so that there's no chance anyone's resting any starters against us, and we don't accidentally win a division game this.
You honestly think we could accidentally win? Come on now. Have you been paying attention?
I think it's the only way we can win, Gus. And I know this is really grim and it's gotten to this kind of hysterical stage of the season now. But I don't feel like we've won a game on purpose this year. It all seems to be these random special team scores and weird stuff happening in games. I think apart from the Bengals game, it feels like the games that we've won have had nothing to do with just ordinary playing football. It's all been these weird accidental wins that, yeah, and it would be exactly what I expect for us to accidentally beat the Bills week 18.
It's all about strength of schedule as well, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Some teams beating other teams. If we're in a tiebreaker, it goes to our strength of schedule as well. So without digging too deep into the weeds, this is another thing that comes into play as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone is in the NFL Stock Exchange Discord, someone's put a really cool routing guide in there and goes into weird stuff like it slightly helps our strength of schedule if the Bengals beat the Dolphins. It slightly helps our strength of schedule if the Cowboys beat the Chargers. There are all of these minute things that help us, and God bless people who get into the weeds with stuff like this, because I just can't do it. I'm eternally grateful for people who produce things like this so that I don't have to do it.
Single males that have got no life. No disrespect, they probably drink too much coffee as well. Right. We've been all through that, so we know pretty much who we're rooting for, who we're not rooting for. At the end of the day, none of it really matters. What will be, will be. We've got some news this week as well, haven't we? There's been some movement in Florham Park, number 1 Jets Drive. The Jets have signed another defensive tackle. If the name sounds familiar, again, he used to be on the Jets roster, Peyton Page. He's actually on the active roster. We are desperate. Tony Adams, I don't think that we will probably ever see him play for the Jets again. In an already depleted safety room, he's gone on injured reserve. Now, the interesting part about this is if they're on injured reserve, they've got to be on injured reserve for 4 weeks before they can come back again. So as there's not 4 games left, once you're on injured reserve now, you're not going to come back. So is that the end of Tony Adams for us, do you think?
Yeah, I can't see him coming back even as a dad.
Oh, I nearly forgot. We lost another safety as well, Isaiah Oliver. He's now on injured reserve, and there's a very, very good chance that he joins Tony Adams for a deck chair in the sun in Hawaii as well. I don't think he'll ever be coming back. But we have signed another DB, Keydron Smith. He was a Broncos player. I don't really know too much about him. He's 6'2", 210. I think he'll make the practice squad, and I think it's just going to be like kicking the tires kind of thing. So that's going to be interesting. But we have signed another safety who I do quite like, and that's Jarius Moore. If he sounds familiar, he's been on our roster before. He's a big guy. He's a big dude. He's 6'2", 205. Originally joined the practice squad on November 5th. He's played 12 games but mainly on special teams. But I think again, our safety room is just down to brass tacks. We are literally going through the motions to get us through the end of the season. It's not going to be uprooting any trees, Andy.
No, it's not.
So anyway, enough about all this Saints talk and everything. There are other games going on, not in the NFL, but in the college scene. And as you know, we do like a bit of college ball on here. And our resident gurus, Timmy, Ryan and Andy, they've been looking at a lot of these players. Andy, what are the key games this weekend? And who are we looking at?
So the playoffs are starting. Actually starting at 1:00 in the morning tonight with Alabama and Oklahoma playing. And obviously for any Ty Simpson fans out there, because you won't find any on this podcast, it's a really interesting one. But for those of you looking deeper into the defense, Texas A&M tomorrow 5:00 in the afternoon they take on Miami. And then you've got Tulane and Ole Miss. And for anyone who wants to stay up late tomorrow night, midnight, Oregon are taking on James Madison, and obviously we're all rooting for Dante Moore to have an amazing season so that he feels like he needs to declare ASAP for the draft. And there's a weird little one out there for any fans of kickers as well. Hawaii take on California in the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Day, 1:00 in the morning if you're staying up to see Santa. There's a kicker out there called Kanzai Matsuzawa, who's a Japanese guy. He's got nicknamed the Tokyo Toe. He's had an incredible season out there. So much so that the mayor of Honolulu declared December 18th to be Kanzai Matsuzawa Day. So he could be an interesting one if we're looking to replace old man Nick Folk in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, we had some breaking news as well this afternoon. Duke QB Darian Mensah. Tell us, do you know what's going on with him?
Yeah, so he's decided to go back. So that kind of next tier of quarterbacks is thinning out a little bit because we've already had the news that Jaden Mayava is going back to school. It's sounding more and more like Brendan Sorsby is going to go back as well, but that's still a little bit up in the air. So it's going to be, if you're looking beyond the ones who could get drafted high, it's going to be that kind of reclamation project almost tier of Nussmeier and Klubnik and Drew Aller if you want to get really crazy. So it is looking more and more like this could be a very thin QB draft class, particularly if Moore goes back. I almost mentally can't cope with the idea of Moore going back at the moment because it will just mean that there's really no options in the draft really outside of Mendoza. But yeah, so Mensah I think he's going back to Duke as well.
Yeah, it just said Duke.
Came out. So yeah, he's obviously decided to go back and see if he can improve his stock. But it is increasingly looking like next year could be a very crowded draft class.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Dante Moore situation. And I'm just curious, and I'd like your opinion on this. Why hasn't he declared yet? Is he waiting to see how the NFL season finishes? Because obviously he'll be one of the first, if not, he could possibly be the first player off the board, the first QB off the board. Do you think he's waiting to see that, or wait to see what happens in the playoffs? A little bit of both. Obviously, you can't decide where you go, not unless your name's Manning. So Arch Manning is returning so far, or has he declared? I'm not sure actually. As far as I'm aware, he's
going back. Yeah,
he is going back. Yeah. Again, as you've said, 2027 is going to be absolutely loaded with quarterbacks next year. It should be a good class, but then again, you look at, was it Nussmeier that should have come out last year, and he went back. And now he's going to be a round 2 pick.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's easy. It's always really easy to say that next year's class is going to be amazing because when you looked at the 2026 draft class in the summer, we were all watching guys like Nussmeier, Sellers, Klubnik, Drew Aller as well. So there were 4 guys who we all thought were locks to go in the first round if they improved, and none of them did.
Yeah.
And so we're now left in a situation where guys who have taken a little bit of a step, like Mendoza and Moore, are being talked about. But it could just as easily happen with next year's class as well. So I am kind of hopeful that Moore comes out, just so there's some options this year.
That is going. Sorry, go on.
No, but I was just going to answer your other question. So I think more, it is a couple of things. I think his agents are probably waiting to see what kind of things the NFL teams are saying about him. Because as much as we all get into the draft really, really early, it doesn't start for the front offices of NFL teams until after December. So they'll be waiting to hear what the early returns are from how it looks like the NFL values him and if he's going to go top 5. And then it's also dependent on the playoffs, because if Oregon somehow win the playoffs, I think he declares for the draft.
Right.
Because there is talk that his offensive coordinator at Oregon could be moving on as well. So that will create a bit of a weird situation for him. So there's loads of things going on, and anyone who tells you that they know for sure one way or the other out there in the press, I think is lying just for clicks. So we all just have to kind of wait and see what happens.
You've got to sell when your stock's high.
Yeah.
And as you've said, Drew Aller, his stock was high, didn't, and look where they are now. It literally will cost them millions, won't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But hey, there's only one thing left to do, isn't there? We've got to give the old dreaded score predictions. How many noughts are you putting on the end of your first number?
It's so weird. We kind of have to do a prediction, don't we? I would say, where are we? 17-9 to the Saints.
17-9 Saints.
Yeah.
Oh, that's low.
Nothing other than I have no clue what's going to happen in this game.
So by 17-9, I think the next podcast I'll be saying punt again. So I'm hoping it's not going to be 17-9, because I think my eyes will be bleeding after watching that. I think there's going to be a few more points in it. I'm going to go 34-24 Saints. I think both quarterbacks are going to, both of them have got a point to prove, and I think they're going to air it out. I think there's going to be a little bit of a thing with the egos of the offensive coordinators going on here as well. So I think both of these offensive coordinators are going to want to make their mark over the other one. So I think it'll be a higher score than that. So 34-24, but as both of us have predicted, the Jets will lose, but or will they win if they lose? If you get my drift. Anyway, cheers, Andy, for coming on. It's been good talking ball, and it's going to be a full weekend with the college, if you can stay up that long. If not, it's a full English, watching it the next morning with a cup of coffee. Cheers, Andy.
Thanks,
and as always, go Jets.
Y'all know what to say. On 3. 1, 2, 3.